She was hungry, poor, and had no proper place to sleep. He was rich, powerful, and had everything money could buy. But when his car broke down in the middle of the road, she did something no one saw coming. How did one small act of kindness from a poor girl change a rich man's life forever? Sit back and find out, as we dive into this powerful story. This is the story of how a poor homeless girl helped a young billionaire and changed both their lives forever. It was a quiet evening in Abuja. The sky was slowly turning dark and the road was empty. A man named Joshua, a young rich man in the city of Abuja, was driving home in his big black car. He had just left a business meeting at a nearby town. His mind was full. He was tired and wanted to get home quickly. But then, something strange happened. The car made a strange sound. Joshua frowned. "What's going on now?" he said, turning down the air conditioner. Suddenly, the car stopped in the middle of the road. He turned the key again. Nothing. He stepped out of the car and looked around. There were no houses nearby, no cars, no people, only silence. He checked the engine, but he didn't really know what he was looking at. He looked at the road again, still empty. He then dialed his mechanic's phone number, but it wasn't connecting. He looked around one more time. The road was still quiet. The only sound was the wind blowing through the trees. He had been standing there for almost 20 minutes. His white shirt was starting to soak with sweat. He was tired and a bit angry. Then, he saw something. Someone was walking on the other side of the road. It was a young lady. She looked about 26 or 27. Her clothes were old and torn in some places. She had a small bag hanging on her shoulder. Her hair was rough. Her slippers looked worn out. She walked slowly, like someone who hadn't eaten all day. Joshua frowned. "Who walks here at this time?" he asked himself. The lady looked weak. Her face showed tiredness, but also strength, like someone who had faced many hard days but was still standing. That girl was Stella. She had no home, no family in Abuja. She had been sleeping in a wooden shelter behind a small shop, a bit far from that road. And yet even with all her pain, she noticed the man by the car, and she stopped walking. Stella saw the car bonnet open. The man beside it looked worried. He kept pressing buttons on his car key and looking into the engine like he was searching for something. She stood for a moment, then took a deep breath and crossed the road. Joshua looked up when he heard footsteps. "Good evening, sir," Stella said gently. Joshua stared at her. He was too shocked to reply. "Sir," she asked calmly, "do you need help?" Joshua paused. He looked at her again. He didn't know whether to trust her or send her away. Instead of answering her question, he asked, "Young lady, what's your name? And what do you know about a car engine?" Stella smiled a little and said, "Sir, I think you are judging a book by its cover." Joshua froze. That one sentence hit him deep. He took a step back and looked at her again. Dirty slippers, old clothes, hungry face, but her words were strong. He let out a small sigh and said, "I was driving back from a business meeting. Everything was fine, until the car just went off. No sound, no smoke, nothing. It just stopped, and it hasn't started again." Stella nodded. "I understand," she said. "By the way, my name is Stella." Joshua gave her a small smile. "I'm Joshua." Then he stepped aside and said, "Let's see what you can find." Stella walked closer to the car. She looked inside the engine carefully. Joshua watched her, still not sure if this was a good idea, but he stayed quiet. Stella gently touched some wires. She looked closely at the battery. Then, she noticed something. A wire had come loose. It was a simple thing, but it could stop the whole car from starting. Without wasting time, she carefully fixed the wire back in place. "Okay, sir," she said. "You can try now." Joshua blinked. "Are you sure?" Stella nodded. "Yes, go ahead." Joshua walked to the driver's side. He opened the door, sat down, and turned the key. The engine came on. The car started like nothing had happened. Joshua jumped out quickly and stared at the engine. "You fixed it?" he asked. Stella nodded again, smiling. "It was just a small, loose wire. Joshua couldn't believe it. This girl, who looked like she didn't have a dime in her pocket, had just fixed his expensive car. He reached into his car, brought out some money, and handed it to her. "Take this," he said. "Please." But Stella took a step back. "No, sir," she said gently. "I only helped because I could. Kindness is not meant to be sold." Joshua stood there, shocked. He had met many people. Rich people, smart people, powerful people. But very few would help without asking for something in return. This girl was different, and he knew. He would never forget her. Joshua looked at Stella again. He could still hear her words in his mind. Kindness is not meant to be sold. He brought out a small white card from his wallet and stretched it toward her. "Take this," he said. "Come to Joshwick Petroleum Limited tomorrow morning, ask for me. My name is Joshua. The address is in the card." Stella looked at the card. Her hand shook a little as she took it. She didn't say anything. Her eyes looked confused. Joshua smiled gently. "Don't worry. Just come." Stella slowly nodded. She looked at the card again, then kept it inside the small bag she always carried. "Thank you, sir," she finally said. Joshua stepped into his car. As he drove off, he looked at her in the mirror. He didn't know why, but something in his heart told him that he would see her again. That night, Stella sat on the cold floor inside the wooden shelter where she slept. The wind was blowing. She opened her small bag and brought out the card. She looked at it again, for the 4th time. She read the name slowly. Joshwick Petroleum Limited. She sighed. Then she reached into her sack and brought out the only thing she had left. Half a loaf of bread. No butter. Just water and dry bread. She took a bite and sat back, thinking. All through the week, she had been going to the construction site where she worked as a laborer. But for days now, there had been no work. The man in charge said the building materials had not arrived. So, no job. No payment. She looked at the bread in her hand, and then looked at the card again. She whispered to herself, "If I had taken that money Joshua offered me, maybe I would have eaten well tonight." But then she shook her head. "No," she said softly. "If I had taken that money, then my help would feel like business. Like I only helped him for something." She closed her eyes, then opened them and looked at the card again. Something inside her said, "Go. Try. You have nothing to lose." She placed the card back in her bag and whispered, "I'll go." The next morning, Stella woke up very early. After preparing, she made her way to Joshwick Petroleum Limited. She stood in front of the gate for a while, holding the card tightly in her hand. The building looked too big, too shiny, too rich. But she took a deep breath and walked to the gate. 2 security men stood there. As soon as they saw her worn-out slippers and faded dress, they started laughing. "Madam, are you lost?" one of them said. "This place is not for beggars." Stella held up the card quickly. "I came to see Mr. Joshua," she said. The second man laughed louder. "You mean who? Joshua the boss? How is that possible?" Stella felt embarrassed. People walking by were starting to stare. "I met him yesterday. He gave me this card," she said, her voice shaking. But the guards didn't believe her. Stella didn't know what else to say. Her heart started beating fast. She felt like turning back, but she didn't. In the office on the 3rd floor, Joshua stood by the window, talking with one of his staff. Then something caught his eye. He looked down and saw a young lady at the gate. He looked again, and his eyes widened. "That's her!" he shouted. Before the staff could say anything, Joshua had already rushed out. He didn't wait for the lift. He ran down the stairs, 3 steps at a time. The guards at the gate were still arguing with Stella when the big office doors burst open. Joshua ran out pointing at her. "Hey, let her in," he said. The guards turned in shock. "This girl?" one of them asked. "Yes," Joshua said. "She's my guest. Let her in." The guards quickly opened the gate. "We are sorry, sir," they said. "We didn't know." Joshua didn't answer them. He turned to Stella. "Why didn't you call me?" he asked gently. "I don't have a phone," she said, looking down. He nodded. "Come with me." Stella followed him slowly. She had never entered such a big building before. The floor was shining. The glass doors opened on their own. People wore suits and greeted Joshua with respect. Stella held her small bag tightly. She felt shy. She felt small. But Joshua turned to her and smiled. "Don't worry," he said. "You're safe here." When they got to Joshua's office, he opened the door and asked Stella to sit down. She sat slowly, her eyes moving around the big office. It was clean, bright, and smelled nice. She had never entered a place like that before. Joshua sat across from her. He looked at her gently. "How are you feeling today?" he asked. "I'm fine, sir," she said quietly. He nodded. "Tell me about yourself, your family. Where do you stay?" Stella looked down. "I don't have a family. I grew up in an orphanage. When I turned 18, I had to leave. Since then, I've just been trying to survive." Joshua's eyes became serious. "That must be hard." She nodded. "Did you go to any school after the orphanage?" She shook her head. "No, sir. I only finished secondary school. I wanted to go further, but there was no money. I had to work to feed myself." Joshua was quiet for a while. He tapped his fingers on the table, thinking. Then he looked at her again. "Stella, I want to help you, but I don't just want to give you money. I want to help your future." She blinked fast. "Sir, I'll get you a personal teacher. Someone who will teach you and prepare you for the exams you need to enter university." Stella opened her mouth, but no words came out. "I also want you to start working here in the garage," Joshua added. "It's a cleaning job, nothing too hard. You'll be paid every month. And I'll give you a room in the staff quarters, so you don't have to sleep on the street again." Her lips shook. "Sir." "Thank you, sir." Joshua smiled. "You deserve a better life, Stella. Let's start from here." From that day, Stella began a new life. She cleaned the garage early every morning. She made sure the tools were in order and the floors were clean. When her tutor came, she took notes and asked questions. She wanted to learn and change her story, so she worked, studied, and prayed. One hot afternoon, the garage was full of noise and laughter. A staff named James had a flat tire. He was sweating and didn't know what to do. "Where's the jack?" James shouted. "It's there," another staff member replied, pointing to a corner. Stella walked over quietly. "Let me help," she said. James looked at her, surprised. "You sure?" Stella nodded. "I know how to do it." She picked up the tools and knelt beside the tire. She worked fast and carefully. She knew what to loosen and how to fix it. In 10 minutes, the tire was changed. Unknown to her, Joshua had walked in. He stopped at the door and watched everything. When Stella stood up and wiped her hands, Joshua walked over. "Stella," he said. She turned around quickly. "Sir," he looked at the tire, then at her. "Where did you learn all this?" She smiled. "I had a friend. He was a mechanic. I used to help him in his workshop before he went back to his village." Joshua smiled too. "You just keep surprising me." Stella laughed a little and looked away shyly, but deep inside Joshua's heart, something warm had started growing. He wasn't just impressed, he was proud, and for the first time in a long while, he was interested, really interested. From that day, Joshua began to watch Stella more closely. He didn't make it too obvious, but he noticed everything. She cleaned the garage every morning before others arrived. She never complained about anything. She greeted everyone with a smile, even the ones who looked down on her. When there was no work, Stella would go to a corner by the side of the building with her books on her lap. She read slowly, moving her finger along each line so she wouldn't miss a word. Sometimes she would help the older staff carry tools. Sometimes she would clean places out of her job description. But what caught Joshua's heart the most was how she treated people. She was always kind. She didn't gossip. She didn't act like she was better than anyone. Even when someone insulted her, she just smiled and walked away. One day, he stood at the window of his office watching her sweep the corner near the generator house. She didn't see him. She was focused. He smiled to himself. "How can someone go through so much," he said quietly, "and still have such a good heart?" There was something different about her. And for the first time in a long while, Joshua made a gentle decision. One Friday afternoon, Joshua called his driver. "Tell Stella to meet me in front of the building. I want her to follow me for lunch," he said. The driver blinked. "Sir? Stella? From the garage?" Yes, go now. 5 minutes later,